Hey everybody, it's great to be back. Marty, thank you so much for inviting me back to the channel. Just being able to provide my knowledge and share what I know with your crew is an honor and a privilege. So just very deep thanks. I really appreciate it. Okay, so I was thinking about scales, and I've been teaching guitar for a long time, and scales are frustrating, and they seem harder than they need to be. And so I was looking for a way to try to demystify this and try to get people some information or a tip or a trick or something to lessen that learning curve. You know, when you learn the pentatonic scale, you can have a lot of fun with that, right? And so you just hang out there. When you start to put the other positions of the pentatonic scale down, like this one, it's like, how could that be the same scale? It looks totally different. And then the next one, totally different again, right? So ultimately, when you start to think about all the scales that there are, major scales, the modes, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Dorian, Aeolian, and then the Gypsy minor scale, and the who's he what's it, and all the Arabian, who knows, right? Now you're sort of faced with this idea of like, you know, that same thing is going to happen to me again. I'm going to learn one of these positions, and then I'm going to realize that I have to do 5 more or something, and it just becomes overwhelming, right? I was digging around trying to figure out, like, why is that? What's the fundamental reason that that's such a pain in the neck? And I did find something, so I want to share it with you. We're gonna zoom in here, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. But it has to do with the architecture of the instrument itself and which finger you start the scale with. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Let's get to work here. Scales, they're so confusing. It's frustrating. When you learn a scale, you get that down, you do some work, and then you realize that it's got another position and it doesn't look the same at all. It just feels like they're harder to understand than they need to be. So I'm going to show you what's going on here. I'm going to show you something that I'm hopeful will help you sort of demystify what this is all about and make scales easier for you to learn. Okay, so let's just take our A minor pentatonic scale. Root position, A minor pentatonic scale on the 5th fret. There's no happier place to be for us today, right? Everybody can get along with that scale. So everything seems to be okay. In fact, I could spend a whole lifetime here. And that's an important thing to do. The minute I learn the next position of the scale, something terrible happens. Here it is. Let's just go over the fret numbers and just look how ridiculous this is. 5-8, 5-7, 5-7, 5-7, 5-8, 5-8. So now the second position is 8-10, 7-10, 7-10, 7-9, 8-10, 8-10. Like, what? Aren't they the same notes? Why can't I have it easier than that? And you actually can. So I'm going to show you something now that will hopefully break this pattern of like, oh, jeepers. Because now look, so there are 3 more of these positions. They're all going to look different, right? Let's say I work my tail off and I get all that down and I'm like, oh, phew, finally, that's great. And somebody comes along and says, hey, do you know the Gypsy minor scale? Or do you know harmonic minor? No, I don't. Wow, that's really cool. Guess what? 5 more shapes that don't look anything like that. Why is that? It doesn't need to be that hard. Here's what's going on. First of all, when you learn a scale like this, at least it gets you on the fretboard and you're doing something, right? But it passes over some interesting and important information. Here's the first piece that you must know, and that is that this is a 2-octave scale. It's a pentatonic scale. It only has 5 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're back to the root, right? That's an important thing to do. And we're just going to focus on 1 octave to sort of take away all the other noise. And I'm going to show you something that's very, very cool. When I start this scale on my index finger, the architecture always looks like this. 2 notes per string, 2 on the E, 2 on the A, 2 on the D. And it always ends on my ring finger. Okay, cool. Let's prove that out. Let's find an A on the A string. That should be pretty easy. Here's one on the 12th fret. Just play the exact same thing. Oh my gosh, this is way easier. Let's find an A on the D string. There it is right there. Play the same exact shape. Watch the B string. Okay, this is way better. Now let's find an A on the G string. Same thing, 2 notes per string. Gotta cross that B string. It's the same exact shape, right? B string, pain in the neck, it's the same exact shape. Let's find an A on the B string. Here's one way up here. Let's do it. It's going to be the same exact shape, right? We're out of strings. But I can see where it would be. It would be right here and right here on the next string if I had one. I can even hear it. Right? Let's just pause here for a moment. My knowledge and my expectations of what I'm looking for are more powerful than the mystery of this instrument right now. I know what to expect, and if I had another string, I know what it would look like, and I know what I would play. That's a very powerful place to be. Let's go back to the scale. But now we're going to start it with our ring finger. Okay, cool enough. What's going on here? 1 note, 2 notes on the A string, 2 notes on the D string, 1 on the G. So it's 1 note per string, 2 notes per string, 2 notes per string, and it ends on the 4th string. So this version of the scale spans 4 strings instead of 3 and alternates between 1 and 2 notes per string. Let's prove that out. Let's find an A on the A string. Should be easy enough. That B string, right? Same exact architecture. Let's find an A on the D string. Oh, look, here we are. That's the second half of our primary sort of, monolithic position here on the 5th fret. Okay, this is getting much easier for me to understand now. Here's the G string. Here's an A note. I don't have enough frets here. Let's take it up here. Here's our starting point, right? Oh, I ran out of strings again, right? But it would be right here on the next string if I had a string. Again, my knowledge and my expectations are wider than this instrument is able to provide for me. I can see things happening that don't even exist on the instrument because I'm in charge. My knowledge is in charge, not just the dots, right? Okay, I'm going to show you one more thing. Here's our pentatonic scale. Here's the second, position of that scale. Are we back to the mystery again? That doesn't look anything like the first one, and it doesn't look like anything I've been talking about. Are we back in the mystery again? And the answer is no. Because all you have to do now is play this same shape and look for the root. There it is. There's our A. And now watch what happens. It's right in the middle of this. That happens with every single one of these positions. All you have to do is know where the root is and know what finger you're starting on. And boom, it becomes so much easier, right? Rather than learning these blobs and all of these fret numbers, like what on earth, and they're all different, it makes me want to scream. Understand where the root is, understand what finger you're starting and ending on, and only play 1 octave. And just do that, and just explore that. Your scale of capability and your understanding of the fingerboard will absolutely explode, I promise you. Okay, well, there's a minor revelation, right? It's not just about learning the scales as giant blobs, but once you start to like dig in and look at how the patterns actually work, and specifically how they start and end through a single octave, right? Because here, check this out. It's not just 5/8, 5/7, 5/7, 5/7, 5/8, 5/8. I've covered up the fact that I've gone through 2 octaves. There's one, and here's the second one. Right? And then there's that index finger versus ring or pinky finger start and end, how it changes the number of strings that the scale completes and the number of notes, the notes per string. This should demystify it for you. If you're having trouble with scales, take your favorite scale, the scale that you feel the most competent at. Look at it through a single octave starting on your index finger, and then look at that same scale starting on that same note with your ring finger, right? And then take those 2 ideas, the index finger start and the ring finger start or the pinky start, and then find every single, if you're going to do, let's say you're going to do A minor pentatonic like we did, find every single A you can on the neck and start and end that scale on your index finger and then on your ring finger or your pinky. Okay, I hope this helps. This really is one of the fundamental frustrations about scales, and I think once you look at scales in this way, you look at them differently, it's going to be easier. All right, I hope you have a good time with this. See you next time, and thanks, Marty, for having me on the channel. I really appreciate it.